Every time technology reshapes art, there are some jobs that disappear. But the artists who last, they harness that fear into power and use the tools to create something that the world has never seen. Winslow Homer, Dody Dorn, and David Carson, three artists from completely different artistic fields who watched technology completely flip their industries upside down. And instead of fighting the change, they found the one thing that the tools could never do, and they made it their superpower. It's what I call an artist's creative firewall, what the machine could never ever do without your voice. Today, we're looking at three moments in history where technology didn't just change how art was made, but artists used that technology to change what art could even be. And if you're a creative watching AI reshape everything right now, with anxiety, grief, sadness, maybe even hope, these stories might provide a little bit of inspiration on how to think about your creative future. Let's dive in. In 1888, George Eastman drops a revolution on the art world. The Kodak camera costs $25, about $800 today, but anyone can use it. You press the button, we do the rest. Portrait painters felt the impact first. Photography had made realism cheap and accessible to everyone almost overnight. Sound familiar? Winslow Homer sees opportunity instead of threat. He shifts to these atmospheric, emotional scenes that photography just could not capture. Look at his 1899 painting, The Gulf Stream. A man floats on a broken boat with sharks circling below. Homer captured the absolute terror of being alone against an indifferent ocean. His loose brushstrokes and camera colors captured something that no camera of that era could match. Homer used the emergence of photography as permission to explore what it couldn't do. His compositions felt living, as opposed to the literal accuracy and documentary feel of what photography at the time was capable of. That painting is worth $25 million today because Homer found what made paintings irreplaceable in a world that could now take photos. Let's jump to the year 2000. Christopher Nolan walks into an editing room with one of the most insane requests in movie editing history. Can you cut a movie backwards while making it feel like it's moving forward? Digital editing was threatening many traditional editing jobs at the time, and editors who couldn't embrace new workflows risked being left behind. But Christopher Nolan's editor, Dody Dorn, embraced this new world. Why did it matter for Memento? With traditional film editing, rearranging scenes was an incredibly time and cost-prohibitive task. You grab your scissors, you physically slice celluloid, and you splice it all back together. A single experiment would have taken hours. Digital editing changed the possibilities. Dorn was able to freely move around scenes in ways that we never would have been able to before. But here's the key. The tools didn't create the innovation. Nolan's storytelling vision and Dorn's editorial instincts did. Digital editing just removed the barriers. The tools let Dorn experiment freely with structure, but every important creative decision, the rhythm, the pacing, the emotional impact came only from Dorn's own decades of experience understanding what would resonate the best with an audience. The tools removed the technical barriers, but the creative decisions came only from human expertise. Memento, as we all know, became a landmark moment in cinematic history, and it showed us the power of technology and expanding the aperture of the stories that artists can tell, but only if it's in the hands of somebody with incredible creative instincts and human originality. One more example. By the late 1980s, desktop publishing software like Quark Express and PageMaker had begun to automate print layout work. The transition took many years, but several paste-up artists and typesetters ended up losing their traditional jobs. Many designers were using the new software to create clean and efficient layouts that followed established design principles. But David Carson took an entirely different path. As an art director for Ray Gun magazine, he used the digital tools to completely and deliberately break the rules of typography. Text became intentionally unreadable. Letters were scattered all over the pages. Carson layered type until it became its own form of art. Carson famously printed an interview in the Zaf Dingbat symbol font, making it completely unreadable. His experimental typography became legendary in design circles, and his rule-breaking approach was emotional and rebellious. Carson understood that in a world of seemingly perfect and standardized design layouts, deliberate imperfection and chaos would stand out as the most human. These rule-breaking designs defined the visual language of the 90s and influenced graphic design for decades to come. And they show us again that creative rebellion and human originality can turn tools of automation into the ultimate forms of artistic expression. All three of these stories reveal a similar theme. The artists who really thrived when their industries were going through dramatic transformation weren't just the ones who learned new tools. They learned the things that the new tools absolutely couldn't do, and they made it their superpower. They made it their edge. Homer realized that the cameras of his time couldn't paint emotion like he could. Dorn used digital editing to unlock a creative vision and storytelling instincts that could only live in the minds of her and Christopher Nolan. And Carson saw that perfect digital layouts created a beautiful opportunity for chaos. These artists didn't wait for a user manual. They played, they experimented, they defined their red lines and boundaries, and in the process, they completely redefined their craft. Right now, AI feels overwhelming because it feels like it can do everything: write, paint, compose, even think creatively. But take a closer look at what's happening. AI excels at producing work that fits existing patterns. It does a great job generating content that looks like something else that already exists. What AI can't do is to decide what should exist. It can't feel the cultural moment like you can and know how to break the rules. It can't build a relationship with your clients and deliver what they really need, not just what they ask for. Homer, Dorn, and Carson all had something that no tool could replicate: a point of view shaped by real, lived artistic experience. Homer's understanding of human emotion came from years of observing people and nature. Dorn's storytelling instincts came from decades of understanding what editing rhythms would resonate with which audiences. And Carson's understanding of youth culture gave birth to something that no algorithm would have been able to spit out. Your creative voice is how you see the world, the connections that only you could make, and the rules that you choose to break and when. To me, the question isn't really whether AI will change creative work or displace jobs, because it will. The real question we should all wrestle with is whether we have the courage to use the tools to amplify our unique perspective and paint outside the box of what AI knows and sets. The artists who are really going to thrive in this new era aren't the ones who just learn and adapt to new tools. They're the ones who are going to use the tools to say something that only they could say. If this resonated, subscribe to my channel for more artist-first insights in an AI era. And I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments about what this sparked for you.